Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Lee Cockerell. Now, last episode, all right, Lee, I'm going to tell you something that you don't know yet. I'm going to spring something on you. Last episode, Lee and I were sitting down together in Anaheim, California, right next to each other. We had Lindsay Barnes filming us across the table. Great setup. It was a phenomenal episode. And then I get home and I start to move the files over and then realized my microphone did not work. So we only had Lee and the background noise was high enough that we could not salvage my voice because when we tried to enhance it, the background noise got too loud. So what I did is re-record my pieces. I was up front at the beginning of the episode. Lee's in Anaheim, but I'm at home recording this. And it turned out okay, Lee. I salvaged it because your message was so good I didn't want to not use it.
Yeah.
But it does bring up a good topic because there I thought we had a phenomenal episode that got ruined by a malfunction of equipment that we didn't know happened until it was too late. So I wanted to talk about handling the unexpected. I'm sure at Hilton, Marriott, Disney, you've got so many examples of something that came up that caused you to alter plans very quick and adapt. So what I'm looking for, an example of two of that, and then what keys do you have for handling the unexpected? So what example, when I tell you that story about what happened with the audio from that episode, what example comes to mind in your career where you had to just handle something unexpected and deliver a product or a room or something anyway?
I would imagine everybody listening today has that several times a week, unexpected
Hmm.
obstacles. And they come out of nowhere. Sometimes your kids create them, sometimes your wife does, sometimes your husband does, sometimes nature. 9/11 was one. We're just happily doing our job that day, and bingo. And this is very common, certainly in the guest areas, because guests have a problem and they want it solved now. And they don't want to hear about your long-term strategy. So yeah, I think you just got the. That's why I always talk so much about how important experience and exposure is, so that you learn to not overreact when these things happen. That you, okay, here's another one, because I've had so many in my life that they don't even become a problem anymore. You just stop and you think, okay, what should I do about this? And I think the point is, if it's really important, you got to stop doing whatever you're doing and take care of that, and not put it off till later, because usually later gets gas or the situation worse if you let it linger. And so I always like that. What's important right now is what you got to work on, and sometimes that changes in a flash. I mean, it's just amazing. You're driving down the road and your car stops. I mean, you've got to take action. And so, I mean, I usually either was able to make a decision what to do, certainly when I had authority over whatever the situation was. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes you may have to call law enforcement. You may have to call an ambulance. You may have to react very quickly. You may have to get somebody on your team that's an expert in that to fix it for you. It's like my Greg Clayton, who takes care of my computer. When I have problems, I call him, and he reacts, and he and I come close because he reacts immediately. He doesn't say, "Well, I'll get to you in a couple of days, Lee," because as you know, when technology becomes a problem, which we just experienced apparently, and you just got to stop. You got to think, how important is this? What are the consequences if I don't deal with it right now? Can it wait? And then do whatever you have the ability to do, and what you don't have the ability to do, you get a hold of somebody who does. And it could be authority, or it could be expertise, or it could be the key is not who does it, it's that it gets done, it gets fixed, it gets turned around, it's no longer a problem. And sometimes it's long-term fixes, sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's just a short decisions. And it's just a matter of staying cool, calm, and collected, and knowing this is just part of life. They come every day, and you've got to just keep your head on your shoulders, and you've got to think about it. Can I do it? Do I need some help? Do I know how to do it? Can I get somebody to help me do it? And when you take that point of view, so many people, when they have it, they don't want to expose themselves to other people, what's going on in their life. You know, it's like me when I was going through depression. I didn't try to fix it myself. I went and saw a psychiatrist. Or when you got a health problem, you go to the doctor. You don't try to. So it's a matter of fixing it and fixing it right. So sometimes you might be able to do that. Sometimes you may not. I was driving down the street and got a flat tire. I learned a lot about my van that day. Where's the tire? And I found out, and I looked online. I didn't even know where it was. It's underneath. You got to take the floor mats out, unscrew it. It drops down. I called AAA. So, I could have done it. I could have had the car fall on me. But it's just, there's a solution to everything. It may be difficult. It may be hard. You may not want to do it. You may want to let it go, but you'll always suffer if you do that. If you're a responsible parent or a responsible leader or just a generally responsible person, you will stop what you're doing and take care of what's most important right now. So that's how I would think about it if I was everybody out there. And if you got that, if you're confident enough to say, I can't do this, but I'll find somebody who can. Sometimes you might have to pay for it. Sometimes you may be a friend. Sometimes it may be inconvenient. Sometimes you might have to take the flight tomorrow instead of today. Daniel and Valerie, my grandson and his wife, came back from New York. They were supposed to come back Sunday. They saw that storm coming, and they got a flight on Saturday and got out of there. And those are the kind of decisions you make. You could take the chance and get stuck in New York for 3 days. So it's always a matter of thinking it through. What is the solution? What are the risks? If I don't do it, if I wait, what are the risks? And by the way, when you fix it right away, you sleep better. As you and I were talking about, laying awake thinking about something, which is even worse, and you feel even worse. So, yeah, it's just a matter of you're no different than anybody else. Every single person in this world has these issues every day. And you shouldn't start thinking, oh, God, why did it happen to me? Well, it happens to everybody. So it's what we're here for, I guess, is to fix things. Yeah, go on.
Well, isn't that a good reminder to hear Lee say, he used different words, you're not that special. Everyone else is having problems. Just deal with it. And based on what Lee told us here and what he said in past episodes, I realize there's 3 parts to this, handling the unexpected. Lee's talked a lot about anticipation and reflection. And I think if you've anticipated what could go wrong, maybe it doesn't go wrong. Had I anticipated, those microphones had worked perfect for me. I'd never had an issue. So I had never anticipated, what do I do if I find out a microphone didn't work? Well, maybe I should have had a spare microphone also recording both of us. So now I can reflect and figure out, okay. But what I did do, Lee, I'll tell you, after you and I met, I was with Bob Weiss, and we went to Kathy Mangum's house and recorded a 2.5-hour interview, and also realized one of the microphones was cutting in and out. Well, I was able to solve that problem too, and now I've permanently solved it by buying new microphones immediately as soon as I knew there was a problem. So those are the 3 pieces I've learned from Lee. Anticipate what could go wrong, because then you'll be prepared. When there is an unexpected problem, you make a decision and you deal with it immediately. And then the third one is reflect. Okay, that happened. How do I make sure something like this doesn't happen again? And if it does, how are we prepared for it? So that's what I've learned from you, Lee, about handling the unexpected.
Well, I imagine now you're going to remember that a microphone's the most important thing when you're recording something. So you'll probably start checking it before we do it in the future. And that happens to all of us, when something goes wrong, we think it goes right up to our brain. The next time we're faced with that same kind of thing, we take a different direction. And I guess that's called experience, learning through experience. And yeah, that's a great, good subject. And that's good. And I think you're right. Reflecting on what in the past, what could go wrong, anticipating what could go wrong, and making sure it doesn't. And anticipating what could go wrong is get to the airport early. Don't worry, you might get traffic. Who knows? We don't know. But there's a way to avoid the chance of something happening versus the ones that just happen and we have no control over, but we have to fix them. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Well, this has been a few years, Lee, but I'm sure you remember it. When we were going from Seattle to Yakima in Washington State, you had rented a car and you had also booked a flight just in case something went wrong in the car. And I said, Lee, why would you pay for a flight from Seattle to Yakima when you have a rental car? And you said, it's cheap insurance to make sure I get there.
Yeah, I was just telling my grandkids that story not that story, but telling them in the winter I often booked an extra flight to go to another location in case that flight where I was going was not going to go there. And I always looked up how far is the drive from that new place so I can get there and then drive and not miss my engagement. And I think, yeah, backup plan. Winter's a good time to have a backup plan. It's just have a first aid kit in your house, fire extinguisher. Just think about the possibilities and try to avoid them. And you can avoid a lot. You're right. You can avoid a lot of them. Take care of your car, change the oil. Don't, get it inspected. Yeah, a lot of things we can see coming, but we kind of, it can wait. And just think of all the time you had to use after that microphone didn't work. You've been busy.
You don't.
It took up time that you could have been walking by the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't even know, Lee. It was a big ordeal, but that's also another thing I learned from you is you just fix it. And then you say later, hey, we had this problem, but it's done.
And we're having this conversation because you did it. Many times you would just fix it and not bring it up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we fix a lot of things people don't know about.
That's right. And usually I would have just fixed it and never told Lee. That's how I would normally handle it. But I thought it would just be a great topic. And that episode was the episode right before this. So it just seemed timely to bring it up.
Yep. Fix it or make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah.
That's right. Well, Lee and I recorded that episode in Anaheim. While I was there, I went to Disneyland, had a fabulous time. If you want to visit Disneyland, call our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach them at 407-442-2694. And that is one way to make sure you have anticipated anything that will go wrong, because if there is an issue, you just call Magical Vacation Planner and they handle it. So no worries off your back. I've seen where there's been issues like a cruise got canceled or something along those lines. And if you booked it yourself, oh my goodness, you're on the phone for hours. But Magical Vacation Planner, you just call your planner and they handle it for you. It's great. So if you want to stay sharp when it comes to unexpected items and anticipating what's coming, the Main Street Leader, I think, would be a great choice for you. You can find it at mainstreetleader.com. It's inexpensive for what you get out of it. It's a monthly newsletter by Lee. If you get Main Street Leader Plus, well, then there's a bonus video every week that goes with it to enhance it. You can find it at mainstreetleader.com. Until next, go ahead, Lee.
I would add one more thing, that the Main Street Leader, it is an excellent tool for training people that have customers. So think about it as really got a lot of value in many ways.
Yeah, it really does. Lee and I know you'll love it. So check it out. If you have questions, reach out to us, support@cockerellacademy.com. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.